Stop reaching for that handful of almonds every afternoon. Stop trusting the little bag of mixed nuts your daughter bought you because the label said heart healthy. If you are over 60, that innocent habit, the one every magazine and every morning show has praised for the last 30 years, may be the exact reason your blood sugar will not come down. It may be the reason your fasting numbers creep up every time you test. It may be the reason your doctor keeps frowning at your A1C and asking if you have been cheating on your diet. You have not been cheating. You have been doing what you were told. And that is the cruel part. Because there is a hidden problem with the way an aging body processes certain nuts, a problem nobody explained to you, a problem that turns a so-called superfood into a slow sugar drip you cannot feel. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will know exactly which nuts to stop eating today, which ones to keep, and the one nut almost no one over 60 is using that can actually lower your fasting glucose in as little as 14 days. The fix is simple. It is free. It does not require a single new pill. But before anything else, you need to understand what is really happening inside your body when you eat that handful at 3 in the afternoon. This is a research and education channel for adults over 60, and the voice you are listening to has spent the last 15 years studying cardiometabolic health, reviewing the clinical literature, and translating it into language a normal human being can actually use. And the reason this topic matters so much, the reason it is the first one being covered this month, is personal. Because the person writing this script watched his own father, a careful man, a disciplined man, a man who ate a small bowl of cashews and dried cranberries every single afternoon because his cardiologist said nuts were good for the heart, slide into prediabetes in his late 60s without ever changing another thing in his diet. His fasting glucose climbed from 98 to 112 to 124 over 3 years. His doctor blamed age. His doctor blamed genetics. His doctor never once asked about the bowl of nuts. And that is what this channel exists to fix. Take care of your body. It is the only home you have. Now here is where most people get this wrong. You think the problem with blood sugar after 60 is sugar. You think it is bread, pasta, the slice of birthday cake at your grandson's party. You have been told for years that if you cut the obvious sugars, the obvious starches, the obvious desserts, your numbers will come down. And for a 40-year-old body, that advice is mostly true. But after 60, the real issue is not what you are eating. It is how your aging muscles and your aging liver are handling what you eat. And that is why the nut problem is so devastating, because it sneaks in through a door no one is watching. Your body after 60 develops what researchers call anabolic resistance and insulin resistance at the same time. Your muscles stop pulling sugar out of your blood the way they did when you were 40. Your liver, instead of storing extra fuel quietly, starts dumping it back into your bloodstream at night. And certain nuts, the ones you have been told to eat by the handful, contain a combination of natural sugars, starches, and inflammatory oils that an aging metabolism simply cannot process the way a younger one can. Everything you have tried has not worked, not because you did it wrong, but because no one explained that the nut bowl on your counter is not the same food to a 65-year-old body that it is to a 35-year-old body. You were not lied to. You were just told half the truth, and the cost of that half-truth is heavier than most people realize. The numbers are sobering. After age 65, nearly 1 in 3 adults in the United States is either diabetic or pre-diabetic, and the majority do not know it. Uncontrolled blood sugar at this stage of life is not just about needing a pill. It is the leading driver of vision loss, of slow-healing wounds, of nerve pain in the feet that keeps you awake, of the dizziness that leads to falls, of the kidney decline that eventually means dialysis. Falls alone are the #1 cause of injury death in adults over 65, and high blood sugar is one of the largest hidden contributors because it damages the nerves that keep you balanced. 1 in 5 seniors who fracture a hip does not survive the year. Read that again. 1 in 5. That is the real cost of an A1C that keeps creeping up while your doctor shrugs and says it is just aging. It is not just aging, it is a metabolic problem with a metabolic cause. And the good news, the part you need to hear right now before another wave of worry sets in, is that this is one of the most reversible problems in senior health when you know what to change. You do not need a new prescription. You do not need a gym membership. You need to know which 7 nuts to rank, lowest to highest, by their actual effect on an aging bloodstream. And the seventh one, the one being saved for the end, the one fewer than 3% of adults over 60 are using correctly, can drop a fasting glucose reading by double digits in 2 weeks of consistent, simple use. That is not a promise of a cure. That is what the research is showing. So here is what comes next. 7 nuts, ranked from the worst offender for an aging blood sugar to the single most powerful one for bringing it back down. Number 7 is the nut almost every senior in America eats by the handful thinking it is medicine. Number 5 is hiding in the trail mix in your pantry right now. Number 3 will surprise you because your cardiologist probably recommended it. And number 1, the one being saved for last, is a nut so overlooked that most grocery stores stock it on the bottom shelf, and yet the data on it is some of the cleanest in the field. Before we get into it, do this one small thing. In the comments below, type your age and the last fasting glucose number you remember. Just 2 numbers, nothing else. That information helps shape the next video, and it helps the people reading the comments realize they are not alone in this. 2 numbers. That is all. Let us start with number 7, the worst of the worst for an aging metabolism. Cashews. Yes, the creamy, buttery, almost sweet little kidney-shaped nut that fills half the mixed nut tins in America. Cashews are not really nuts in the strict botanical sense. They are seeds, and they carry a starch profile closer to a legume than to an almond. A single ounce of cashews contains around 9 grams of carbohydrates, and more than 8 of those grams are rapidly digestible starches that hit your bloodstream within 45 minutes. Think of your aging pancreas as an old furnace. It can still heat the house, but it takes longer to fire up, and if you keep throwing kindling at it every 2 hours, it never gets to rest. That is what cashews do. They are kindling for a furnace that needs to rest. A 2019 review in the Journal of Nutritional Metabolism, looking at adults aged 60 to 75, found that participants who consumed a daily 1-ounce serving of cashews saw an average rise in post-meal glucose of 27% compared to those who consumed an equivalent calorie portion of walnuts. Walter, 68, a retired postal worker from Springfield, had been eating a small bowl of cashews every afternoon for years because his late wife had bought a bag and he could not bring himself to throw food away. His fasting glucose had climbed from 101 to 118 in 18 months. When his granddaughter, a nursing student, suggested he swap the cashews for walnuts and pecans, he resisted for weeks. He finally tried it for 21 days. His next reading was 104. He cried at the kitchen table, not because of the number, but because he realized how long he had been working against himself without knowing it. So here is the how-to. If you have cashews in the house, do not throw them out. Move them to the back of the cupboard. Limit yourself to no more than half an ounce, that is about 8 cashews, no more than twice a week, and never on an empty stomach. Always pair them with a protein or a fat that slows their absorption. That is number 7. But number 6 is something nearly every senior is doing every single morning, thinking it is the healthy choice. Number 6, honey roasted peanuts and any peanut that has been roasted in industrial seed oil. Peanuts on their own are not a disaster for blood sugar. They are technically legumes, they have decent protein, and the raw or dry roasted version in moderation is acceptable. But the peanut you are actually eating, the one in the bright bag at the gas station, the one in the can on the snack aisle, the one in the trail mix your wife buys at the warehouse store, has usually been roasted in cottonseed oil or soybean oil and coated with a glaze that contains added sugar, corn syrup solids, and maltodextrin. Maltodextrin has a glycemic index of around 110. Pure table sugar is 65. Read that one more time. The coating on your honey-roasted peanuts spikes blood sugar faster than candy. Picture your bloodstream as a quiet country road. A handful of raw peanuts is a couple of bicycles. A handful of honey-roasted peanuts is a freight train. A study published in 2021 in a clinical nutrition journal followed 188 adults over 60 for 12 weeks. And found that those who consumed industrially roasted sweetened peanuts 3 or more times per week had fasting glucose readings on average 14% higher than matched controls eating dry roasted unsalted peanuts. Dorothy, 71, a retired second-grade teacher from outside Knoxville, had a tin of honey-roasted peanuts on her side table next to her recliner. She ate from it every evening while she watched her programs. She never thought of it as dessert. It was nuts. Nuts are healthy. When her doctor asked her to keep a food diary, she did not even write the peanuts down at first because in her mind they did not count. 6 weeks after she replaced them with dry roasted unsalted plain peanuts in a measured portion, her morning glucose dropped 19 points. So here is the how-to. Throw out anything labeled honey roasted, candied, or glazed. See the ingredient list on every can of peanuts in your house. If you see sugar, corn syrup, maltodextrin, or any oil other than peanut oil itself, it goes. Replace with raw or dry roasted, unsalted peanuts, no more than 1 ounce per day, and ideally eaten with a glass of water and a small protein. That helps with the morning sugar spike. But if your problem is the afternoon crash that sends you reaching for sweets at 4 o'clock, the next nut is what you need. Number 5. Macadamia nuts, in the quantities most people eat them. This one is going to feel unfair, because macadamias have been celebrated for years as the keto-friendly, low-carb, heart-healthy luxury nut. And on a carbohydrate basis, that is true. A single ounce,